Your thoughts, yes. Nothing more than thoughts can become real money. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? Yet there was once a young man who was quite literally a drifter. He had no money, no connections, and no advantages. And still, he walked into Thomas Edison's laboratory and declared, "I've come here to become your business partner, not to ask you for a job." A few years later, he became Edison's official business associate across the United States. You've ever believed that your circumstances are the very barrier keeping your dreams from becoming reality, then the story you're about to hear may completely change the way you think about wealth. The remarkable part is that this young man possessed no miracle, no special gift. He simply understood a principle that Think and Grow Rich is about to reveal in its very first chapter. Welcome to the Book Summary channel. Today, we're going to explore the deepest layers of the human mind through the timeless wisdom of Think and Grow Rich and uncover the true power plant that exists within every one of us. Chapter 1, Thought is a Thing. Thoughts are not merely electrical impulses traveling through your brain. They are a powerful form of energy capable of reshaping your destiny. Fictal. When you fill your mind with a burning desire and unwavering determination, your consciousness becomes a giant magnet, attracting the people, opportunities, and circumstances needed to transform invisible dreams into tangible wealth. The moment you truly understand this one true thought is a thing, your mind begins broadcasting a signal that it is ready to receive success. Thoughts are real forces, and they become extraordinarily powerful when fueled by a definite purpose, persistent determination, and an intense desire to turn them into money or any other form of material achievement. And S. Barnes was one of the first to prove the truth behind the principle, if you want riches, think riches. But he did not discover it overnight. His journey began with a single unwavering desire to become the business partner of the great inventor Thomas Edison. To understand how the power of a definite purpose can shatter every obstacle, look no further than Barnes's astonishing journey as he confronted one of the greatest scientific minds of his era. What mattered most was that Barnes had one crystal clear intention. He didn't want to work for Edison, he wanted to work with Edison. Failed. Two enormous obstacles stood in his way. He didn't know Edison personally, and he didn't even have enough money to buy a train ticket to East Orange. For most people, those two facts would have been more than enough reason to give up. But Barnes's desire was stronger than his circumstances. When Barnes finally appeared at Edison's laboratory, Edison later recalled that he looked like a tramp. Yet there was something in his face that left no room for doubt. It was the expression of a man who would accomplish whatever he set his mind to. Edison gave him a chance because he recognized someone willing to sacrifice everything for a single purpose. First, Barnes received only a modest, low-paying position. But in his mind, his vision of becoming Edison's business partner never stopped growing. He resolved to achieve his goal, even if it took the rest of his life. Eventually, opportunity arrived from the last place he expected. It came disguised as what looked like a temporary failure. Edison's salesman refused to promote the Edison dictating machine, but believing it had little commercial value. Barnes seized the opportunity. He sold the machine with extraordinary success, and in doing so, earned the right to become Edison's official business partner throughout the country. Barnes's success was not the product of luck. It was the result of a profound psychological process that most of us overlook in everyday life. Psychologists have long observed that when a person truly wants something, that desire becomes visible in everything they do. Barnes never allowed himself to consider a backup plan or an escape route. He never said, if this doesn't work, I'll settle for becoming a salesman. Instead, he declared, came here to build a business with Edison. His unwavering determination and relentless focus on a single objective swept away every obstacle and transformed opportunity into reality. The truth is, we often fail to recognize opportunity because it usually enters through the back door, wearing the disguise of risk or temporary defeat. Barnes succeeded because he understood a timeless principle. When guided by the right principles, thought can be transformed into material reality. But be careful. The line separating spectacular success from devastating failure is often thinner than a strand of hair. And the story of Darby's gold mine serves as an expensive lesson for anyone who is tempted to quit. One of the most common causes of failure is abandoning a goal after encountering the first setback. Are you? Darby's uncle gave up searching for gold the moment the vein seemed to disappear. He sold all his mining equipment to a junk dealer. The junk dealer hired a mining engineer who carefully studied the geological fault lines and discovered that the gold vein had not ended at all. It was located just 3 feet beyond the point where Darby's uncle had stopped digging. The lesson is unforgettable. Success often lies just one step beyond failure. Failure is a cunning deceiver that loves to defeat people when they are standing closest to victory. The power of persistence is also illustrated by the story of the little black girl who stood fearlessly before Darby's hot-tempered uncle, refusing to leave until she received the 50 cents she had been sent to collect. Through sheer determination, she somehow transformed a roaring lion into a gentle lamb. How can you develop the same strength as that little girl? How can you cultivate the same unwavering determination that enabled Henry Ford to build the legendary V8 engine after countless experts insisted it was impossible? The answer lies in how you operate the machinery of your own mind. You must master the art of transforming your perception from failure to success. Begin by deciding exactly what you want, just as Henry Ford refused to let his engineers stop working until they designed an 8-cylinder engine cast in a single block, despite repeated claims that it could never be done. Fill your mind with the desire for wealth. Train yourself to think in terms of prosperity until that desire naturally gives birth to practical plans. Always remember, success comes to those who think in terms of success. Do not measure your future using the yardstick of past limitations or inherited poverty. You are the master of your own mind, and by controlling your thoughts, you become the architect of your own destiny. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And remember this, the longer you persist towards success, the closer you are to reaching it. Never stop when you are only a few inches from your destination, because someone else may take the very next step and claim the reward that was meant to be yours. How do you keep the fire of desire burning inside you? And how do you transform that burning desire into a concrete plan of action? That is exactly what we will uncover in the next chapter, where we explore the mystery of desire, the place where dreams begin to take physical form. Burning desire is the power plant behind every great achievement. It is the invisible talisman that transforms even the most distant dreams into tangible reality. When a desire grows into an obsession and is backed by persistent action, life has no choice but to surrender and reward you accordingly. The difference between a dreamer and a high achiever is simple. Successful people do more than wish. They train their minds to become magnets that attract every resource and opportunity needed to turn their desires into reality. Dream will remain nothing more than an illusion unless you are willing to burn every bridge behind you and move forward with only one possible outcome: victory. Dreams become reality the moment desire is transformed into action. Ask life for abundance, and life will respond in kind. The first step toward riches is desire. More than 50 years ago, when Edwin S. Barnes stepped off a freight train in East Orange, New Jersey, he looked like a homeless drifter. But the thoughts he carried were worthy of a king. He walked from the station toward Thomas A. Edison's office. He could already see himself standing before Edison. He imagined himself asking the inventor to fulfill the one desire that had consumed his entire mind, to become his business partner. It was not hope. It was not mere ambition. It was a burning desire so powerful that it eclipsed everything else. Truly understand the strength of a mind that has reached the point of no retreat, we need only examine how Barnes wagered his entire life on a single goal: patience. Barnes succeeded because he chose one definite purpose and devoted every ounce of his energy and willpower to it. From the very first day he entered Edison's company, he considered himself Edison's future business partner, even though everyone else saw him as an ordinary employee. He never said, "I'll try to persuade Edison to give me a job." Instead, he declared, "I came here to build a business with him." He committed himself completely, leaving no path for retreat. It would be victory or nothing. Determination resembled that of an ancient military commander who ordered his ships burned after landing on enemy shores, ensuring that his soldiers understood one undeniable truth: if they did not win, they would never return home alive. The same spirit lived in Marshall Field, who remained among the ashes after the Great Chicago Fire, determined to rebuild what would become one of the greatest department stores in the world, while other merchants fled to seek new opportunities elsewhere. Perhaps even more inspiring is the story of Blair, the author's son, who was born without ears. Doctors predicted he would spend his entire life deaf and unable to speak. Yet his father refused to accept that verdict. Through relentless determination, he instilled in Blair an overwhelming desire to hear. In time, Blair not only gained the ability to hear with the help of an electronic hearing device, but also transformed what had once been considered a disability into his greatest asset. He later became a researcher and marketing representative for the very company that manufactured the hearing device, helping millions of hearing impaired people around the world. These extraordinary achievements were not accidents. They were the natural result of applying profound psychological principles and the mysterious creative forces of the human mind. Once desire has taken root within you, it becomes your greatest ally. The power of autosuggestion transforms what you long for into something that can be possessed. Every wealthy individual first hoped, desired, imagined, and planned long before money ever found its way into their hands. It operates through astonishing biochemical processes that disguise themselves as dreams, a state of mind that refuses to accept the word impossible and has no interest in the phrase "it can't be done." Blair's story proves that when desire is transmitted with enough passion, it can build a bridge across silence itself, connecting the human mind to the outside world. A mind burning with desire and believing in wealth as firmly as it believes in itself is the key that unlocks the gates of greatness. From these inspiring stories emerge timeless truths about life and about overcoming adversity. Every setback carries within it the seed of an even greater success. Thomas Edison refused to abandon the light bulb despite 10,000 unsuccessful experiments. Helen Keller, though deaf, blind, and unable to speak, carved her name into history because she refused to surrender. Essential lesson is this: there is a vast difference between wishing for something and being truly ready to receive it. If you do not yet believe you can achieve it, then you are not yet prepared to possess it. Remember this well. Rising to wealth and prosperity requires no more effort than resigning yourself to poverty. It is a fair employer. If you bargain for pennies, it will pay you pennies. But if you demand $1 million and are willing to work for it, life will reward you accordingly. So how do you begin transforming abstract thoughts into real money starting today? Follow these 6 steps without compromise. First, determine the exact amount of money you want to possess. Be absolutely specific. Second, honestly decide what you are willing to give in return. What sacrifices are you prepared to make? Third, set a precise date by which you intend to possess that amount. Fourth, create a definite plan and begin acting immediately, whether you feel ready or not. Fifth, write everything down in a clear and concise statement. Finally, and most importantly, read your written statement aloud twice every day. Once immediately after waking in the morning and once before going to bed at night. As you read it, visualize the money, feel as though you already possess it, and believe with complete conviction that it is already yours. There are no barriers to the human mind except those that we choose to accept. The sleeping giant within you is simply waiting for one command, a command born of absolute determination to awaken and move mountains. Are you ready to give your mind that power? Yet desire alone is not enough. You still need a far greater catalyst to transform ideas into reality. That catalyst is faith. In the next chapter, we will discover how to harness the invisible power of faith and use it to make every goal within your reach. Faith is not merely a vague state of mind. It is an extraordinarily powerful form of mental vitamin, a mysterious force capable of transforming vibrating thoughts into immense material achievements. It is the invisible talisman that unlocks us the power plant within your mind, where every burning desire is forged before emerging into the physical world as wealth and power. Faith is the catalyst of all intellectual ability. When it is fused with thought, the subconscious mind immediately accepts it, converts it into its spiritual equivalent, and transmits it to infinite intelligence, much like a sincere prayer. Among all positive emotions, the most powerful are faith, love, and sex. When these 3 are combined, they create an extraordinary force that activates the subconscious mind and compels infinite intelligence to respond to the questions placed before it. Faith is the foundation upon which wealth is accumulated, the only antidote to failure, and the sole bridge through which we gain access to the tremendous power of infinite intelligence. This state of mind can be consciously created and strengthened through repeated autosuggestion directed at the subconscious. To understand how a single, seemingly ordinary idea could be valued at hundreds of millions of dollars through the power of faith, let us travel back in time to the historic evening that gave birth to one of America's greatest industrial empires. The story begins on the night of December 12, 1900, when Charles M. Schwab, a 38-year-old steel executive, electrified a banquet attended by New York's most influential financiers with a brilliant and persuasive speech. In just 19 minutes, Schwab planted a bold vision in the mind of J.P. Morgan, a comprehensive plan to reorganize the steel industry, abandoning the short-sighted pursuit of monopoly pricing in favor of mass production at lower costs to dominate international markets. Schwab's unwavering faith and remarkable powers of persuasion were so compelling that Morgan immediately pulled him aside for a private discussion that lasted more than an hour. Schwab then became the crucial bridge in convincing the shrewd Andrew Carnegie to sell his steel empire. Finally, on a cold January day while playing golf, Carnegie wrote the figure 400,000,000 on a piece of paper and agreed to step aside. The monumental transaction ultimately led to the creation of the United States Steel Corporation, an enterprise whose underlying idea was valued at an astonishing 600,000, an almost unimaginable sum at the time. It all began with nothing more than the imagination and unshakable faith of a single individual. The same principle can be seen in the lives of Abraham Lincoln, whose intellectual genius awakened through profound suffering and deep love, and Mahatma Gandhi, who united the minds of 200 million people into a single coordinated force through faith alone, despite possessing neither wealth nor military power. Why can a speech or an ideal be transformed into such overwhelming wealth and tangible power? The answer lies in the way we train and, in a sense, deceive our own subconscious mind. Subconscious is fertile ground. It cannot distinguish between constructive thoughts and destructive ones. It will materialize whatever thoughts you repeatedly feed into it, whether they are rooted in fear, doubt, or bold ambition. You repeat a statement often enough, regardless of whether it is true or false, you will eventually begin to believe it, because every individual ultimately becomes what his dominant thoughts allow him to become. Thoughts charged with powerful emotion act like magnets, attracting similar thoughts until they take root in the subconscious and become the driving force behind every action. Those who live in poverty and unhappiness are often unknowingly the architects of their own misfortune. They have allowed self-doubt and negative thinking to build permanent homes within their subconscious minds. And through the law of autosuggestion, those destructive thoughts eventually become physical reality. Once we understand that faith can be deliberately cultivated through discipline and practice, we also discover one of the greatest truths in both business and life, a truth that keeps the flow of wealth from ever running dry. One of the golden principles consistently followed by successful industrialists is simple. Before you can receive, you must first give. A business can only achieve lasting success when it genuinely serves society and operates upon the foundations of truth and fairness. Any enterprise that benefits only one side is destined to collapse sooner or later. Faith is the only true antidote to failure. It transforms ordinary thought into a form of energy capable of communicating directly with infinite intelligence. Never forget that both victory and defeat are determined by the way you set the sails of your own mind. You believe you are defeated, you already are. If you lack faith in yourself, success will forever remain beyond your reach. To stop drifting like a ship caught in the currents of poverty, you must make a personal covenant with life itself through 5 acts of deliberate self-affirmation. Every day, faithfully practice the following steps. First, demand of yourself unwavering persistence and relentless effort in pursuing your life's definite purpose. Second, spend 30 minutes each day vividly imagining the person you wish to become, allowing that mental image to reshape your character and your actions. Third, devote 10 minutes daily to self-affirmation, strengthening your confidence through the deliberate practice of autosuggestion. And fourth, write down your chief aim in life and pledge that you will never stop striving until it has been achieved. Fifth, eliminate hatred, jealousy, and cruelty from your heart. Replace them with genuine goodwill toward others, for no success can endure without faith in both yourself and your fellow human beings. Sign this personal declaration. Commit it to memory. Recite it aloud every single day until every word becomes woven into the very fibers of your nervous system. Both poverty and prosperity are born from faith, and now you hold the power to choose which one will shape your future. Do not allow ominous thoughts and fear to sink the ship of your destiny. Instead, let faith lift you to heights so extraordinary that even your own imagination struggles to comprehend them. Yet, no matter how powerful faith may be, it still requires a practical instrument to transform vague desires into precise plans of action. Have you ever heard of the art of influencing the subconscious through deliberate, systematic commands? Join us in the next chapter as we explore the power of autosuggestion, the method that enables you to send direct instructions into the deepest control center of your mind. Your mind is a fertile garden where every thought you plant eventually becomes your destiny. Autosuggestion is far more than mere words. It is the power plant, the supreme control center that connects your conscious mind with the deep unconscious realm of the sleeping giant within you. The deepest layers of your mind work for you. Use emotion to empower your subconscious, and you will achieve results that seem nothing short of extraordinary. Wealth or poverty is not predetermined by fate. It is the consequence of whether you allow the right seeds of thought to take root in your mind. Human beings can become masters of themselves and even influence those around them because we possess the remarkable ability to communicate directly with the subconscious through a unique mechanism, an invisible talisman known as autosuggestion. Autosuggestion encompasses every form of self-hypnosis and self-induced mental conditioning. It serves as the control center between conscious thought and unconscious thought. Through autosuggestion, ideas enter the brain and influence it through the five senses bestowed upon us by nature. Yet most people never consciously exercise this power. Result, they allow destructive seeds to grow, ultimately producing poverty and failure. Autosuggestion is the mechanism that enables every individual to deliberately plant chosen thoughts into the subconscious, functioning as a relay station that links conscious desire with subconscious power, transforming desire into reality. To understand how abstract desires can be transformed into the unmistakable ring of hard cash, let us examine a practical example of reprogramming the mind to attract wealth. In fact, imagine that you faithfully follow the advice of reading your personal declaration aloud twice each day, impressing your desired objective directly upon your subconscious. Suppose your goal is to accumulate $50,000 within 5 years to launch your own business. Your declaration should be spoken with absolute conviction. On January 1st, I shall possess $50,000. This money will be accumulated steadily throughout the specified period. When I have received this amount, I use it to build and operate a business that is efficient, diversified, and of the highest quality. Further, by describing your intended business in vivid detail and affirming with unwavering certainty, I believe that I will possess this money. My faith is so strong that I can already see it before my eyes. I can hold it in my hands. It is waiting for me, expecting me to repay this gift through the value of my future work. Close your eyes and hold the exact amount firmly in your imagination until it appears as real as anything you can see. At the same time, visualize precisely what you will do to earn and deserve that money. Why does repeating these affirmations have the power to reshape reality? The answer lies in one simple truth. The subconscious never responds to dry commands. It responds only to emotion. Simply reading words aloud without feeling will never produce results because the subconscious accepts only thoughts that are saturated with emotion. In fact, you must learn to enter your subconscious with complete faith, using a perfectly legitimate psychological strategy to convince it that the money already exists and is waiting for you to claim it. In return, your subconscious will begin supplying practical plans for achieving that goal. Repetition is absolutely essential. It develops a money-conscious mindset, transforming desire into a natural reflex of the mind. Faith is the most powerful mental vitamin of all the highest performing emotional force for directing the subconscious and opening before you an entirely new universe of energy and possibility. From this principle emerges a profound truth about persistence. The price of mastering your destiny is the relentless discipline of mastering your own thoughts. Doubt is the natural response to every new idea. Yet when persistence is applied consistently, doubt gradually crystallizes into absolute faith. Cannot deceive your subconscious. Therefore, unwavering consistency in practicing these principles is non-negotiable. Whoever gains command over the subconscious leaves no room for poverty where prosperity is meant to flourish. Remember also that inspiration is an exceptionally precious state of mind. Whenever an idea flashes into your consciousness like lightning, recognize it for what it is, a plan delivered by your subconscious. Act immediately. Inspiration never waits for procrastination. So how do you begin this process of self-conditioning and become a magnet for wealth starting tonight? Follow these steps with unwavering discipline. First, find a quiet place. Close your eyes and read your written statement of purpose aloud every night before going to sleep and every morning upon waking. State the exact amount of money you intend to acquire. Set a definite deadline. Visualize yourself holding that money in your own hands. Do not wait for a perfect plan to appear. Focus continually on your financial goal, allowing it to stimulate your subconscious. When inspiration strikes, take immediate action. Place your written declaration somewhere you will see it constantly, so it remains before your eyes every day as a powerful reminder. Finally, reread this entire chapter aloud each afternoon. Underline the passages that resonate most deeply until your belief in your own power becomes complete and unshakable. The suggestion is the bridge carries you toward the shores of prosperity, where every limitation of the mind dissolves through the conscious power of repetition. Are you ready to give your subconscious the greatest instructions it will ever receive? Faith and affirmations alone are not enough to build an empire. You also need a special kind of raw material one capable of transforming rough ideas into sharp executable plans. Next, would you like to discover how to acquire and apply specialized knowledge as the ultimate weapon in the game of wealth? That is the mystery we will unravel in the next chapter, where knowledge ceases to be mere theory and becomes genuine power. Knowledge is nothing more than raw material scattered throughout the warehouse of the human mind. It remains nothing but lifeless metal until it is shaped by a well-defined plan of action. Pursuit of wealth, the true invisible talisman, is not how much you know, but how effectively you organize what you know to create practical value. Knowledge is merely potential power. It becomes a genuine power plant only when it is transformed into a concrete strategy aimed at a definite result. There are two distinct kinds of knowledge that we must clearly distinguish: general knowledge and specialized knowledge. General knowledge, no matter how profound, rarely leads directly to financial success. University professors, for example, possess an extraordinary wealth of human knowledge, yet they are seldom among the richest people in the world. They specialize in teaching knowledge, not necessarily in applying it to create wealth. Knowledge alone cannot attract money until it is intelligently organized and directed by a detailed plan toward the accumulation of riches. A truly educated person is not someone whose mind is crammed with endless facts, but someone who has developed the intellectual ability to acquire whatever knowledge is needed without infringing upon the rights of others. Phoenicians. The fourth step toward wealth is mastering specialized knowledge and transforming it into a powerful instrument for achieving your definite purpose. To understand why a man whose mind was not filled with endless historical facts could nevertheless build one of the greatest industrial empires in history, let us revisit Henry Ford's legendary exchange in a Chicago courtroom. During the First World War, a newspaper branded Henry Ford an ignorant pacifist. Determined to defend his reputation, Ford sued for libel. In court, the opposing attorneys attempted to prove his ignorance by bombarding him with questions about history, such as, who was Benedict Arnold? And how many British soldiers were sent to America in 1776? Ford answered with characteristic wit. He admitted he did not know the exact number of troops, but remarked that far fewer returned than had been sent. Eventually, growing tired of the pointless questioning, Ford pointed toward the lawyers and calmly explained that with the push of a single button in his office, he could summon experts capable of answering any question related to his business. Then he asked a simple but devastating question in return. Why should I clutter my mind with unnecessary facts when I have people who can instantly provide every piece of knowledge I require? That perfectly logical answer revealed to everyone in the courtroom that Ford was far from ignorant. He was, in fact, a genuinely educated man. The same principle can be seen in the lives of Thomas Edison, who attended school for only 3 months, and Henry Ford, who never completed the 6th grade. Yet both achieved extraordinary prosperity because they knew how to organize and direct the knowledge of others through what Napoleon Hill called a mastermind. The story of Stuart Austin Weir, a civil engineer who decided to study law at the age of 40 and completed 4 years of legal education in only 2 years, along with the entrepreneur who transformed accounting expertise and imagination into a mobile bookkeeping service serving hundreds of retail stores, further demonstrates the immense power of specialized knowledge. Ford's confidence in the courtroom was not the arrogance of a wealthy man. It was the quiet certainty of someone who understood the true nature of the sleeping giant within the human mind. Fundamental principle is this: it matters far less who possesses the knowledge than whether you know where to find it and how to turn it into action. Many people underestimate themselves because they lack formal academic credentials. Yet anyone capable of organizing and directing a mastermind composed of experts is every bit as educated as the specialists themselves. This is one of the most important psychological truths in personal achievement. Knowledge has little value by itself. Its true value lies in its organization and application. The modern world demands specialization. Successful people continually seek out information directly related to their professions instead of relying solely on what they learned in school. Phoenicians. One of the greatest misconceptions is believing that education ends with graduation. In reality, formal schooling merely teaches us how knowledge can be acquired. the real education begins afterward. Perfection is. Once you recognize that specialized knowledge is a form of mental vitamin that can often be acquired at remarkably little cost, you begin to realize that opportunity is always available to those with ambition and discipline. One of the most valuable lessons is this: people tend to value what they pay for. Free libraries and public education are sometimes taken for granted simply because they cost nothing. This is one reason paid correspondence courses and professional training programs often produce stronger habits of decision-making and persistence. They require commitment. Those who devote their spare time to acquiring specialized knowledge possess genuine ambition, and such people rarely remain at the bottom of society for long. Affiliations. Another invaluable lesson is never to begin at the bottom if you have the opportunity to start higher. A carefully prepared plan for marketing yourself, like the remarkable mother who created a 50-page portfolio showcasing her son's talents and presenting him to prospective employers, can save you an entire decade of struggling upward from the lowest rung. So, how can you begin acquiring and applying specialized knowledge to pave your own road to wealth today? First, determine precisely what specialized knowledge you need and why you need it. Let your definite purpose guide your search. Next, draw upon the 5 primary sources of knowledge: your own experience, intelligent cooperation with capable people, universities and educational institutions, public libraries, specialized courses and home study programs. Intensive study is not your greatest strength, then learn to organize a mastermind of people who possess the knowledge you lack. Develop the habit of specialization and never stop learning. The most successful individuals are lifelong students who continually update their expertise in their chosen fields. Finally, use your imagination to combine specialized knowledge with fresh ideas, transforming both into profitable plans of action. New ideas are the true source of wealth. Knowledge can always be obtained provided you know where to look. Specialized knowledge is one of the smoothest roads to prosperity, provided you know how to steer the ship of your intellect toward a clearly defined destination. In fact, do not allow yourself to remain trapped by ignorance when the accumulated knowledge of humanity is available almost instantly, just as Henry Ford understood when he reached for the expertise of others instead of attempting to know everything himself. Yet even the most comprehensive knowledge and the most carefully crafted plans remain lifeless without one essential ingredient: the force that breathes life into facts, figures, and strategies. Feenies, would you like to discover how to awaken imagination, the workshop of the mind where every great plan is first conceived? That is the mystery we will unravel in the next chapter, where abstract ideas begin to take on the shape of reality. Imagination is humanity's ultimate workshop, a magnificent power plant where invisible desires are shaped into tangible wealth. It is the invisible talisman that has enabled mankind to conquer the skies, explore stars millions of miles away, and even surpass the speed of sound. Every achievement and every fortune you long for is waiting to take shape within this extraordinary workshop of the mind. Fifth, imagination is the factory where human desires and plans are manufactured, where passion is given form and set into motion. It functions in 2 distinct ways: synthetic imagination and creative imagination. Synthetic imagination enables us to rearrange existing ideas, experiences, and concepts into new combinations. It does not create anything entirely original, but it is an indispensable tool for education, innovation, and invention. Creative imagination, on the other hand, serves as the bridge through which the finite human mind connects with infinite intelligence. In fact, through it, We communicate with the subconscious minds of others and receive flashes of genius that seem to come from beyond ordinary reasoning. This creative faculty operates only when your consciousness vibrates at the proper frequency, a state awakened by an intense, burning desire. To understand how a single idea, combined with imagination, can build an empire that spans the globe, let us revisit the story of an old kettle owned by a struggling drugstore clerk. More than 50 years ago, an elderly physician quietly entered a drugstore through the back door after more than an hour of discussion. The doctor walked away with $500, every penny the young man had saved, in exchange for an old kettle, a wooden paddle, and a handwritten sheet containing a secret formula. Neither of them realized that this humble kettle would eventually give birth to a fortune so extraordinary that even Aladdin's magic lamp could never rival it. The young clerk, Asa Candler, had purchased nothing more than an idea. But the real miracle began when he added something the physician had never possessed: imagination. It was imagination that transformed a simple beverage formula into the global empire known as Coca-Cola. It created employment for millions of people, from sugarcane farmers and factory workers to marketers and advertising specialists. It helped establish renowned educational institutions and built one of the most recognizable brands in history. Every time you see the name Coca-Cola, you are witnessing proof that a single idea empowered by imagination can conquer the world. The success of Coca-Cola was never hidden inside the kettle or the chemical formula. It was rooted in a profound psychological principle about the true nature of ideas and wealth. Every fortune begins as a thought, and every thought is first shaped by imagination. A desire is merely an abstract and fleeting impulse until imagination gives it form and substance. Imagination is much like a muscle. Left unused, it gradually weakens. Exercised consistently through purposeful thinking and constructive work, it grows stronger with time. Ideas possess extraordinary power. They often outlive the minds that created them, continuing to influence the world long after their creators have returned to dust. On the journey from dream to fortune, synthetic imagination helps us organize plans, but it is creative imagination that enables us to pull gold out of thin air. But how can an idea become reality in an astonishingly short period of time? The remarkable story of Dr. Frank W. Gonzalez obtaining $1 million in a single week provides the answer. For 2 years, Dr. Gonzalez dreamed of founding a new educational institution, yet he had no idea where to obtain the $1 million required to make it happen. Then, on a Saturday, he made a firm decision: enough. 1 week from today, I will have $1 million. The moment he attached a definite deadline to his desire, an overwhelming sense of confidence filled his mind. The following morning, he stepped onto the pulpit and delivered a heartfelt sermon describing exactly what he would accomplish if he possessed $1 million. When the speech ended, Philip D. Armour rose from his seat and pledged to provide the entire amount. The lesson is unmistakable. Thought becomes money only when it is joined with a definite purpose and a concrete plan of action. All you do is wish and hope that fortune will somehow appear. Success will never arrive. Wealth is the echo of unwavering desire, not simply the reward for hard work alone. Are you ready to awaken the sleeping giant within your own workshop of the mind? Begin today. First, determine the exact amount of money you desire and define precisely what you intend to do with it. Write your plan clearly and in detail. Read that plan aloud slowly and deliberately. recognizing that this simple act is the first step in transforming thought into reality. Do not sit back and wait for luck. Force your imagination to work by combining existing ideas into new possibilities, or open your mind to receive flashes of inspiration from infinite intelligence. Always remember that an idea is priceless. Its value is determined not by the idea itself, but by the person who chooses to develop it. One plan fails. Persist until you replace it with another. Continue refining your approach until you discover the key that unlocks your own treasure. Every great fortune begins at the precise moment when an idea encounters someone willing to bring it to life through the disciplined power of imagination. Never allow your imagination to wither, for it is the skillful pair of hands that shapes the destiny you will ultimately live. Yet imagination and brilliant ideas alone are not enough. Without a solid framework for execution, even the greatest vision remains nothing more than a dream. Would you like to discover how to transform inspired ideas into an organized plan, and how to build a powerful alliance capable of turning vision into reality? That is the mystery we will explore in the next chapter, where creativity is transformed into disciplined execution and lasting achievement. A burning desire without a plan of action is like a ship without a rudder, destined to drift aimlessly across an endless sea until it is swallowed by the waves. Organized planning is the power plant that transforms the invisible vibrations of desire into tangible results. It is the invisible talisman that enables you to lead others and create wealth in a surprisingly short time. Every great human achievement begins as a quiet desire. But before that desire can become reality, it must be translated into a practical plan through 6 definite steps, with the central focus being the creation of an organized course of action. No one wins alone. To ensure success, you must attract to your side the experience, education, natural abilities, and imagination of other people through the principle of the mastermind. Build an alliance of capable individuals and meet with them regularly, at least twice each week, to refine your plans until they are as effective as possible. Situations, remember that every member of the group deserves fair compensation. No one can contribute wholeheartedly for long without receiving an appropriate return, even when that reward is not measured solely in money. The world usually sees only the glory of those who reach the summit. Few ever witness the countless times great industrial leaders like Henry Ford and James J. Hill tore down failed plans and rebuilt them from the ground up. James J. Hill endured one failure after another while trying to raise the capital necessary to construct the great East-West Railway. Yet every setback became the foundation for another attempt. Whenever one plan failed, he immediately drafted a better one, until eventual triumph replaced temporary defeat. Even Henry Ford, who appeared to possess everything a businessman could desire, encountered obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome after reaching the pinnacle of the automobile industry. Instead of surrendering, he reconsidered every assumption, redesigned his entire strategy, and achieved a new era of financial success. Why is changing your plan so important? Because the greatest difference between a millionaire and a poor man often lies in the quality, depth, and practicality of the plan each one follows. Temporary defeat is nothing more than evidence that something in your plan requires improvement. It is not a tragedy. It is simply a signal that your blueprint is incomplete. Facing millions of people spend their entire lives trapped in poverty because they never develop a carefully organized plan. Successful people, by contrast, never waste time mourning failure. they immediately begin designing another approach. In fact, money itself is silent and incapable of thought, yet it possesses remarkably keen hearing. Call it with the strength of a burning desire supported by an organized plan, and it begins moving toward you. Never confuse temporary defeat with surrender. The lazy never win, and winners are never lazy. Once you possess both a sound plan and a capable team, your next responsibility is to become a leader worthy of their trust. Leadership in the modern world is no longer built upon force. It is built upon understanding, fairness, and service. Effective leader embodies 11 essential qualities, beginning with courage and decisiveness grounded in knowledge and extending to self-discipline that inspires others by example. Every action should follow a definite plan. A leader who acts without direction resembles a sailboat drifting without sails. Sooner or later, it will crash upon the rocks. Avoid the common mistakes that destroy ineffective leaders: selfishness, betrayal, and the fear that capable subordinates might someday surpass you. History offers powerful lessons. Napoleon, Hitler, and Mussolini all met disastrous ends because they attempted to rule through force. Lasting success belongs only to leaders who build cooperation through mutual respect, shared purpose, and genuine concern for the people they lead. So how can you begin marketing yourself at your highest value and securing the career you truly desire? Apply the CSS formula together with the art of professional self-presentation. Let CSS become your daily standard. Quality delivers service of exceptional excellence, paying attention to even the smallest details. Quantity provide dependable service whenever it is needed. Spirit bring enthusiasm, cooperation, and positive energy into every professional relationship. Use every available avenue to pursue opportunity, whether through employment agencies, personal advertising, professional networking, or direct meetings with prospective employers. Prepare your application with the same meticulous care that an attorney devotes to preparing a case for trial. Present your qualifications, experience, and accomplishments clearly. Most importantly, demonstrate confidence by offering to work through a probationary period, proving your faith in your own ability through performance rather than promises. Finally, conduct a thorough personal review every year using a series of honest questions that force you to confront your weaknesses, from procrastination and lack of self-discipline to emotional instability. Success requires no excuses. Failure has none worth offering. The world is changing with extraordinary speed, creating unprecedented opportunities for those who possess definite plans and a genuine desire to serve others through meaningful work. Are you ready to become the architect of the greatest plans of your life? Even with a flawless strategy and a loyal team, one psychological obstacle can still bring everything to a halt: indecision. How do you learn to make decisions quickly, confidently, and with the strength of tempered steel, never allowing yourself to fall into the trap of procrastination? The secret we will uncover in the next chapter, where the true character of a great leader reveals itself through the power of decision. Vision is the invisible talisman that draws a clear line between winners and losers in life's relentless contest. A mind that cannot decide is like a magnificent machine with no fuel. No matter how powerful its design, it remains nothing more than lifeless steel standing motionless before the gates of success. After analyzing 25,000 cases of failure, I discovered one unmistakable pattern: the greater the opportunity, the more dangerous indecision becomes. Every one of us must battle the habit of procrastination. The seventh step toward wealth is decision. The biographies of those who accumulated great fortunes reveal one striking similarity. They reached decisions promptly, but changed them slowly and only after careful consideration. The biographies of those who failed reveal exactly the opposite. They hesitated endlessly before making decisions, yet reversed them quickly and repeatedly. To understand how one unwavering decision can create millions of dollars or even alter the course of human history, look no further than the legendary stubbornness of Henry Ford and the courageous men who gave birth to the United States. Henry Ford was famous for making decisions quickly and refusing to abandon them, earning a reputation for extraordinary stubbornness. It was precisely this quality that led him to continue manufacturing the Model T, a vehicle many considered the ugliest automobile of its time, despite fierce opposition from advisors, dealers, and customers alike. Even greater was the decision made on July 4, 1776, in Philadelphia, when 56 statesmen signed a document that promised either freedom for America or the gallows for every one of them. The story had begun years earlier in Boston, in 1770, when Samuel Adams and John Hancock boldly demanded that British troops withdraw from the city. Together with Richard Henry Lee, they formed a mastermind alliance that united the efforts of the American colonies. Even after Governor Thomas Gage threatened Samuel Adams with execution for treason, Adams stood firm, declaring that his soul had long since made peace with the King of Kings and that no earthly power could force him to abandon the cause of liberty. Because these men refused to recognize the word failure, the Declaration of Independence was born, transforming the abstract desire for freedom into the reality of a sovereign nation. Why were those individuals able to make decisions involving life and death, while so many people today are defeated by little more than gossip and the opinions of strangers? The answer lies in a simple psychological truth. People who possess little wealth often cling desperately to the advice of others. They allow newspapers, neighbors, critics, and public opinion to think on their behalf. Advice is among the cheapest commodities in the world. If your decisions are determined by the opinions of others, you are unlikely to succeed at anything truly significant. Possess a mind of your own. Use it. Those who speak excessively usually accomplish very little. If you spend more time talking than listening, you not only deprive yourself of valuable knowledge, you also reveal your plans to those who may envy you or seek to profit from your ideas. Never forget that almost everyone desires wealth. If you freely announce your ambitions, do not be surprised if someone else acts upon your idea before you do. Thought strengthened by burning desire naturally seeks to become its physical equivalent, but it requires the framework of decisive action before it can take shape. Decisiveness is not a gift bestowed by luck. It is a mental vitamin forged through courage, independence, and disciplined thinking. Leaders in every field make decisions quickly and clearly. That is one of the primary reasons they lead. The world always makes room for those who know exactly where they are going. Indecision often begins in childhood and becomes a lifelong habit. If people reach adulthood without defining a clear purpose, an overwhelming majority of employees never rise to the level they desire because they have never decided precisely what position they seek or how they intend to find the employer capable of providing that opportunity. Steadfastness demands enormous courage, just as it did from the 56 men who risked their lives by signing the Declaration of Independence. Financial independence and lasting success are impossible without mature judgment and unwavering commitment to a definite objective. So how can you activate the power plant of decisive action and make it your sharpest weapon beginning today? Make your very first decision this. Keep your ears open and your mouth closed. Write those words in large letters and place them somewhere you will see them every day. Become intolerant of indecision, both in yourself and, when necessary, in those around you. Study the decision-making habits of successful people. Observe how they evaluate opportunities, commit themselves, and move forward without endless hesitation. Burning desire for freedom ultimately produces freedom. A burning desire for wealth ultimately produces wealth. Always remember, the true foundation of power is strength of character. Every decision you make today becomes another stone in the castle of your future. Yet making quick decisions alone is not enough to complete the journey toward your treasure. To transform decisions into lasting results, you need a source of enduring strength, one capable of carrying you through opposition, setbacks, and every storm along the way. Would you like to discover how to awaken the giant of persistence, transforming it into an unbreakable habit? That is the power we will explore in the next chapter, where plans are tempered in the fire of perseverance until they become reality. Persistence is the extraordinary fuel that transforms the raw ore of desire into the hardened steel of remarkable success. On the journey toward greatness, willpower fused with burning passion becomes an inexhaustible power plant, sweeping away every obstacle that stands between you and prosperity. The eighth step toward wealth is persistence. Persistence is the essential ingredient that converts desire into its monetary equivalent, and its foundation is the strength of the human will. Most people abandon their goals the moment they encounter the first sign of adversity. Only a small minority press forward, treating every obstacle with indifference and refusing to stop until victory has been achieved. First test of your persistence is simple. Have you faithfully carried out the 6 steps outlined in the chapter on desire? If you discover indifference, inconsistency, or a lack of perseverance within yourself, you have also discovered why financial success has remained beyond your reach. A money-conscious mind attracts wealth as naturally as the ocean draws water during the changing tides. Patience. To understand how persistence can eventually conquer even the strongest fortress, let us visit Broadway, a place often called both the graveyard of dreams and the gateway to extraordinary success. The life of Fannie Hurst remains one of history's finest demonstrations of unshakable persistence. She arrived in New York determined to become a successful writer. For 4 long years, Broadway answered her ambitions with silence. One publisher rejected her manuscripts 36 times before finally accepting her work. The moment that invisible barrier was broken, everything changed. The same principle appeared in the life of Kate Smith, who sang for years before Broadway finally recognized her extraordinary talent. Likewise, comedian W.C. Fields lost nearly everything at the age of 60 and even suffered a broken neck. Yet he refused to quit. Instead, he rebuilt his career in motion pictures and achieved even greater success. History offers an even more remarkable example. The Prophet Muhammad endured 10 years of ridicule, persecution, insults, stones, exile, and poverty. Yet only a decade later, he united Arabia and established one of the world's great religions. What united these individuals was not extraordinary luck. It was a definite purpose combined with unwavering persistence. Why does persistence possess such astonishing power? Because somewhere along life's path, there seems to exist an invisible examiner, quietly testing our determination before granting us the rewards we seek. Persistence is not an inborn trait. It is a state of mind. And because it is a state of mind, it can be deliberately cultivated. Its roots are found in a definite purpose, burning desire, self-confidence, and disciplined willpower. Its greatest enemy is the fear of criticism. Countless people allow relatives, friends, and acquaintances to destroy their ambitions simply because they fear what others might say. Even the author himself experienced this fear. When Andrew Carnegie proposed that he devote 20 years to developing the philosophy presented in this book, an inner voice repeatedly whispered, "What will people think? Who are you to attempt something so ambitious?" Fear of criticism has buried more dreams than almost any other force. Once you understand that persistence is the mental vitamin that tempers character into steel, the next step is to confront honestly the weaknesses that continue to hold you back. Here is one of life's most valuable lessons. Poverty clings effortlessly to minds focused upon poverty. Wealth, however, requires disciplined training until your thoughts naturally operate in terms of prosperity. Escaping mental inertia resembles waking from a nightmare. At first, every movement feels slow and difficult, but with repetition, confidence steadily replaces hesitation. Failure is never permanent. It is simply a push that drives us toward greater effort and better plans. Never become one of the overwhelming majority who cannot answer one simple question. What do I truly want from life? Desire alone never creates wealth. Prosperity arrives only when desire is joined with a definite plan and executed with relentless persistence. So, how can you begin building the habit of persistence starting today? Commit yourself to the following four-part covenant. First, establish a clear and definite purpose founded upon a burning desire for achievement. Second, create a detailed plan of action and begin carrying it out immediately. Third, protect your mind from harmful influences. Refuse to allow discouraging opinions from relatives, friends, or acquaintances to weaken your determination. Fourth, build a cooperative alliance with people who genuinely support your ambitions. That is the true power of the mastermind. Same time, examine your own weaknesses honestly. Identify habits such as procrastination, making excuses, blaming circumstances, or allowing excessive pride to stand in your way. Correct them deliberately. Remember this, persistence is the direct result of habit. The most powerful cure for fear is repeated acts of courage until persistence becomes your second nature. Persistence is the subconscious printing press upon which your future fortune is produced. Within it, every obstacle is crushed to make room for prosperity. Yet persistence reaches its greatest power only when it is connected to an even larger source of energy, the combined intelligence of other people. How can you coordinate the knowledge, talents, and efforts of an entire group in perfect harmony to achieve extraordinary financial success? That is the secret we will explore in the next chapter, where we uncover the remarkable power of the mastermind, a force in which 1 + 1 becomes far greater than 2. Single mind is but a faint light in the darkness. Yet when multiple minds unite in perfect harmony, they become a vast power plant capable of illuminating an entire empire. Collective intelligence is the invisible talisman that transforms lifeless plans on paper into powerful forces of action. Mastermind power is organized knowledge intelligently directed through the coordinated efforts of 2 or more people working together toward a common purpose and a definite plan. 3 principal sources of knowledge: infinite intelligence, access through creative imagination, the accumulated experience of humanity preserved in books and recorded history, and experimentation and scientific research. Knowledge becomes true power only when it is organized into a practical plan and ultimately translated into action. No matter how brilliant you may be, you cannot generate the first spark of genuine mastermind power if you attempt to pursue great ambitions entirely alone. History reveals a remarkable truth about the world's wealthiest individuals. None of them succeeded in isolation. Each learned how to draw strength from a unique alliance that Andrew Carnegie called the mastermind. Fatal. Andrew Carnegie's own mastermind group consisted of roughly 50 individuals united by a single purpose: producing and selling steel. Carnegie openly acknowledged that his immense fortune was built not merely upon financial capital, but upon the immeasurable intellectual capital contributed by these remarkable people. Henry Ford provides another classic example. He began life poor with little formal education and few advantages. Yet, within only a decade, he overcame each of those limitations and became the richest man in America. His transformation was made possible not simply through his own abilities, but through close association with extraordinary minds such as Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, John Burroughs, and Luther Burbank. By working alongside them, Ford expanded his own intelligence beyond its natural limits, drawing upon the combined knowledge, creativity, spiritual strength of the entire group. Even Mahatma Gandhi demonstrated this principle on an astonishing scale. By uniting the minds and hearts of more than 200 million people around a common purpose, he generated a force powerful enough to reshape the destiny of an entire nation. Why does connecting multiple minds create such extraordinary power? The answer lies in the energetic nature of human thought. The human brain may be compared to an electric battery. A single battery contains only limited energy. Connect many batteries together, however, and their combined output becomes vastly greater than that of any individual cell. The same principle applies to the mind. When two minds work together in complete harmony, their psychological energies interact and create what might be described as a third mind, a new field of intelligence whose value equals that of an additional mind. Through harmonious cooperation, the collective intelligence of the group rises above the sum of its individual members. Each participant gains access to a higher level of insight than he or she could have achieved alone. Whenever several people unite around a definite purpose in a spirit of perfect harmony, infinite intelligence becomes the inexhaustible source, supplying them with greater ideas, clearer judgment, and stronger creative power. But never forget this: money and prosperity are remarkably shy. They never seek out those who are lazy, unprepared, or uncertain. Money resembles a shy young woman. It must be courted with patience, confidence, persistence, and genuine belief. Itself resembles a river flowing in two opposite directions. One current carries people toward prosperity. The other pulls them toward poverty and hardship. Poverty is naturally arrogant and relentless. It requires no planning. Wealth, by contrast, is delicate and reserved. It responds only to preparation, organization, and intelligent action. So how can you leave the current of poverty behind and step into the reservoir of prosperity beginning today? Choose the members of your mastermind alliance carefully and with unwavering discipline. Seek knowledge only from trustworthy sources. Organize what you learn into practical plans of action. Never underestimate wise counsel. Draw upon the combined energy of capable people to strengthen your financial future. Thoughtfully, reflect deeply. Spend time contemplating these principles until you begin to recognize the opportunities waiting before you. Transform organized, purposeful intelligence into genuine power capable of directing the course of your own life. Mastermind principle is the cornerstone upon which every great success is built. That power now lies within your reach. Use it wisely to become the architect of your own destiny. For true happiness is found not merely in possessions, but in mastering the immense forces that exist both within yourself and in the minds of those around you. Yet intelligence and persistence, powerful though they are, remain incomplete without one extraordinary force capable of breathing life into every ambition. Would you like to discover how to awaken the most powerful biological energy available to human beings and transform it into extraordinary creativity and achievement? That is the mystery we will explore in the next chapter, The Secret of Sex Transmutation, where an entirely new source of power is awakened. Sex energy is the highest voltage current flowing through the human mind, a colossal power plant capable of transforming ordinary people into extraordinary geniuses. You learn to master this immense force and channel it toward constructive goals instead of squandering it on fleeting physical pleasures. You will possess an invisible talisman that unlocks your imagination, courage, and willpower at extraordinary levels. Simply put, sex transmutation is the process of converting sexual energy into another form of creative energy. Sexual emotion is the most powerful of all human emotions, producing a unique state of awareness that enables people to develop talents they never realized they possessed. Consider the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. While deeply inspired by his love for Josephine, he became an undefeated military genius. But when cold reason led him to reject her, his glory began to crumble, ending in lonely exile on St. Helena. Abraham Lincoln offers another striking example. It was only after meeting Anne Rutledge that his natural creative gifts truly emerged. For love is one of the most powerful catalysts of genius. A study involving 30,000 salespeople even revealed that the highest performers were those with the strongest sexual vitality, because their enthusiasm and magnetism naturally radiated through their voices, handshakes, and every thought they communicated to customers. Another remarkable example is Dr. Elmer R. Gates, who produced more than 200 inventions through his method of incubating ideas in a completely dark room, allowing himself to connect with infinite intelligence while his consciousness reached its highest level. Human mind responds to 10 major stimuli, with sexual emotion standing above all others, followed by love, the desire for fame, money, music, and even autosuggestion. When stimulated by these forces, the mind rises above its ordinary patterns of thinking, much like ascending in an aircraft, where the horizon expands and the trivial concerns below fade into insignificance. Interestingly, most people do not reach their greatest creative potential until after the age of 40. Because earlier in life, they often waste their sexual energy on purely physical gratification. Only later do they learn to harmonize love with sexuality, creating a force that inspires far greater action and achievement. Physiological and psychological truths teach us an invaluable lesson. Protect your greatest source of power so that you do not become like a castrated bull alive in body, yet stripped of vitality and inner fire. To destroy sexual emotion is to destroy your primary source of life energy. Greatest lesson is that love, romance, and sexuality must be woven together into an inseparable three-legged foundation that elevates human beings to the level of genius. In marriage, recognize that harmony between love and sexuality is the safety valve of lasting happiness, allowing both partners to grow together instead of letting indifference slowly destroy the relationship. Use your sexual energy to enhance your personal magnetism from your posture and voice to your appearance so that you naturally command greater influence in both social and business interactions. Sexual energy is the ultimate source of vitality and enduring prosperity if you learn to take the reins of this untamed stallion and guide it toward the sun of success. VT. Would you like to discover the giant that lives within you, the one that never sleeps and silently works to transform every one of your desires into physical reality? Join us in the next chapter as we enter the mysterious world of the subconscious mind and uncover the inner workings of the most powerful transmitter and receiver of energy in the universe. Subconscious mind is a tireless powerhouse, working relentlessly day and night. It is the extraordinary bridge between the limited intelligence of man and the infinite intelligence of the universe. This invisible talisman possesses the power to transform any plan or thought you entrust to it into tangible reality. You do not deliberately choose the positive seeds you plant in this fertile soil. It will automatically absorb the negative influences surrounding you and cultivate them into the reality of your life. Subconscious functions through the mind, sorting and recording every impulse of thought that enters the brain. Through the power of your will, you can impress upon it any intention you wish to transform into wealth, yet it responds most powerfully to desires reinforced by absolute faith. It acts like a translator, converting your prayers into a language that infinite intelligence can understand, then returning the answers in the form of inspired ideas, practical plans, or sudden flashes of insight. Picture your subconscious as your own personal radio receiver. Invisible thought vibrations are constantly flowing through the universe, carrying both positive and negative frequencies. If you do not learn how to tune the dial, your radio will automatically pick up the static of fear, doubt, and poverty. Connection with infinite intelligence works much like radio transmission itself. A broadcasting system amplifies the human voice millions of times so that it can travel across vast distances. Your subconscious is that amplifier. You pray from a place of fear, you transmit distorted signals, and what returns to you is emptiness or failure. But when you direct your finite mind toward infinite intelligence with unwavering faith, the forces of the universe begin working together to bring your prayers into reality. The subconscious does not respond to the cold language of logic. It responds only to the language of emotion. There are 7 primary positive emotions: desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. These are the yeast that makes the dough rise, transforming passive thoughts into dynamic forces of action. In contrast, 7 destructive emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger are poisons capable of sabotaging the entire creative process. Your mind cannot fully entertain both positive and negative emotions at the same time. One must inevitably dominate. A person's greatness is measured by the greatness of their mind. The subconscious does not distinguish between thoughts that lead to success and those that lead to failure. It faithfully materializes whatever occupies your mind most intensely. How can you unlock the door to your subconscious and begin changing your destiny today? First, define your desire with absolute clarity and precision, because the subconscious requires a definite goal before it can begin to act. Every day, impress your plans for prosperity upon your subconscious by combining vivid imagination with unwavering faith. Do not become discouraged if your first attempts seem unsuccessful. Mastering the subconscious is not a single event, it is a lifelong habit. Subconscious mind is your greatest ally on the road to wealth and fulfillment. It will faithfully execute every command you entrust to it, provided that command is backed by complete faith. Master this giant that never sleeps, and you will begin to see the world aligning itself with your deepest desires. But how can the human brain connect directly with the thoughts of other minds and even with the intelligence of the universe itself? Have you ever wondered about the true broadcasting station of thought where your mind can receive vibrations from beyond the physical world? In the next chapter, we will unravel the mystery of the brain, its structure, its extraordinary power, and the remarkable point where science and spirituality become one. Your brain is far more than a mass of gray matter enclosed within your skull. It is one of the most sophisticated powerhouses in the universe, functioning as both a transmitter and a receiver of powerful thought vibrations. Every time an idea flashes through your mind, in fact, you are operating an extraordinary communication system capable of connecting with countless other minds and even with the infinite source of infinite intelligence itself. Every human brain serves simultaneously as both a receiving station and a broadcasting station for thought vibrations. Creative imagination functions as the receiving apparatus of the mind, capturing thought impulses transmitted by other minds while connecting the analytical faculty to the four major sources of mental stimulation. Subconscious mind serves as the brain's transmitting mechanism, while the creative imagination acts as its receiving instrument. The power created by connecting multiple minds is not a vague philosophical theory. It has been supported by serious scientific research and astonishing experiments exploring the extraordinary capabilities of human perception. Inspector J.B. Rhine and his colleagues at Duke University conducted more than 100,000 experiments investigating telepathy and extrasensory perception. They identified a group of individuals who consistently guessed playing cards correctly without relying on the five physical senses, effectively eliminating the possibility of mere chance. Why is it that a group of people working together can often reach insights no individual could have discovered alone? The answer lies within the extraordinary architecture of the billions of tiny workers housed inside the human brain. Although the science of the human brain is still in its infancy, we already know that the cerebral cortex contains between 10 and 14 billion nerve cells arranged in an astonishingly complex network. Thought itself is the greatest invisible force in existence, allowing us to interact with infinite intelligence just as gravity silently holds the earth suspended in space. Situations. Once you understand that your brain is an immense power plant, you also realize that allowing negative thoughts to dominate it is no different from poisoning your own broadcasting station. People wish to become wealthy, yet few possess the passionate desire and disciplined action required to achieve it. Thought acquires physical reality only after it has been energized through an appropriate state of mental vibration, most powerfully through sexual emotion, the strongest and most dynamic of all human emotions. So, how can you transform your brain into a magnet that attracts wealth starting today? Begin by stimulating your mind through discussion and cooperative thinking according to the principle of the mastermind. Gather with trusted individuals, define the objective with absolute clarity, and encourage everyone to express every idea that comes to mind. Your brain is the key that unlocks the doorway to a world where thoughts become reality. Yet for this remarkable broadcasting and receiving station to operate at its highest capacity, it requires a special antenna one capable of sensing both opportunity and danger before either becomes visible. Would you like to discover how to awaken the sixth sense, the highest expression of human intelligence, enabling direct communication within infinite intelligence itself? Join us in the next chapter as we enter the Temple of Wisdom and awaken the unseen guardian power that already resides within you. The sixth sense is not a mystical form of magic, Phyllis. It is the highest expression of awakened intelligence, a spiritual powerhouse that enables you to establish direct contact with the infinite source of infinite intelligence. Through this invisible talisman, great ideas and inspired plans arise naturally within your consciousness like flashes of lightning, guiding you towards success without force or struggle. 13th principle, the sixth sense, stands as the crowning achievement of the philosophy of success. It allows infinite intelligence to communicate directly with the individual mind without conscious effort. Once awakened, it warns you of approaching danger and reveals opportunities that should never be ignored. For your unseen guardian begins opening the gates to the Temple of Wisdom. Cultivate this extraordinary faculty. The author employed an unusual and highly imaginative method, borrowing the wisdom of history's greatest minds through vivid imaginary meetings. Every night before going to sleep, the author closed his eyes and imagined himself seated around a conference table with 9 remarkable individuals: Emerson, Paine, Edison, Darwin, Lincoln, Burbank, Napoleon, Ford, and Carnegie. Within this invisible council, he served as chairman, asking each advisor to instill within him a particular quality, Lincoln's sense of justice, Ford's unwavering persistence, Napoleon's courage, and the unique strengths possessed by each of the others. Why can simply imagining such advisors produce genuine transformation in one's life? The answer lies in the remarkable interaction between autosuggestion and the heightened vibrations of the human mind. The original purpose of the Invisible Council was to use autosuggestion to influence the subconscious mind and deliberately reshape one's character according to personal choice. Whenever we immerse ourselves emotionally in the pursuit of greatness, the mind becomes especially receptive to ideas arriving through the sixth sense. Infinite intelligence permeates every atom of existence, and it is this universal force that transforms your desires into physical reality. Once you have awakened the sixth sense, success no longer feels like a constant struggle. Instead, it becomes a harmonious process, unfolding naturally in accordance with the fundamental laws of the universe. The sixth sense does not appear by accident, nor can it be developed overnight. It is the reward earned through persistent application of the other principles, particularly burning, desire, and autosuggestion. The greatest lesson is that genuine understanding of yourself, of others, and of nature itself becomes possible only after this faculty has been cultivated. Choose the great men and women you admire most, then begin holding imaginary meetings with them each night before you fall asleep. Ask them to teach you the qualities you have yet to develop, and speak your deepest desires aloud, just as the author did when addressing Lincoln, Edison, and the others. Read and reflect upon this chapter repeatedly until your mind becomes increasingly receptive to the limitless stream of ideas flowing through your creative imagination. Sixth sense is the highest expression of human potential, enabling you to transform your dreams into reality with the guidance of infinite intelligence. Yet, even after reaching the threshold of the Temple of Wisdom, unseen enemies still lurk in the shadows, waiting to pull you back into the darkness of failure. You know, the 6 greatest fears that silently undermine your confidence, weaken your intelligence, and prevent you from achieving your fullest potential? Victies. Join us in the final chapter as we expose these hidden enemies, destroy their influence once and for all, and fully awaken the sleeping giant within you. Fear is a deadly poison of the mind. It paralyzes initiative and destroys every opportunity for success before you even have the chance to begin. To apply the philosophy of achievement, your consciousness must first be cleared of its 3 greatest enemies: indecision, doubt, and fear. Decision, doubt, and fear are inseparable allies. Indecision gives birth to doubt, and once doubt takes root, fear inevitably follows. There are 6 fundamental fears that dominate human life: the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, the loss of love, old age, and death. And among them, the fear of poverty is by far the most destructive. It paralyzes the mind, destroys self-confidence, and suffocates love. Yet you must never forget one essential truth: fear is nothing more than a state of mind. And because it is a state of mind, it can be directed, controlled, and ultimately conquered through the power of your own will. Consider the story of a condemned prisoner with only 2 hours remaining before his execution. When asked how he could be so composed, he explained that his peace came from making one final decision: to accept his fate cheerfully, knowing that all suffering would soon come to an end. That single decision freed him from worry. Now compare him with great pioneers such as Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. When critics mocked Edison for attempting the impossible or ridiculed Ford's vision of building practical automobiles for ordinary people, neither man allowed the fear of criticism to weaken his faith. Fear of criticism destroys initiative because people dread being condemned by public opinion, a lingering inheritance from darker periods of history when independent thinking was harshly punished. Even a single fearful thought can spread from one mind to another as quickly as a radio signal, crippling the creative imagination of an entire group. There can be no compromise between poverty and prosperity. They are 2 completely opposite paths. The greatest lesson is that you must accept absolute responsibility for the condition of your own mind. Wealth cannot simply be purchased. It is attracted by creating the mental state that naturally draws it toward you. Beware of the old man if and his endless collection of excuses, beginning with if only. Every excuse for failure is the child of a lazy imagination. The greatest victory you will ever win is the victory over yourself. And if you fail to move decisively across the chessboard of life, your opponent time will eventually capture every piece you possess. Begin with a rigorous self-examination. Silence the fear of criticism by refusing to become preoccupied with what others think of you. Eliminate the fear of illness by refusing to surrender to imaginary symptoms. Replace negative relationships with people who inspire courage, growth, and possibility. Above all, use the master key, the disciplined control of your own thoughts, to compel life to reward you with the wealth, fulfillment, and happiness you truly desire. It's a chessboard, and you are the one holding the pieces. Excuses have no place any longer, for you now possess the complete philosophy required to reach the highest levels of success. The greatest rewards await those who dare to conquer themselves and act with unwavering faith. We have met within the pages of this book because we share the same extraordinary desire to become more than we are today. So rise, take the first step, and begin